Hey there guys, John Griffith here with Max Fortitude Fitness, and today our topic is winning by budgeting. So I'll start off by saying that I'm not a financial planner, I'm not a financial expert. I simply have found a budgeting method that works for a lot of people, that's clear and concise and can be performed in 4 simple steps. So to start out, what I see a lot is people are living paycheck to paycheck. And what that means is they get their paycheck, they live kind of lavishly, they pay their necessary expenses, and on top of that, they're paying other stuff that they don't necessarily need. And at the end of that period, whether they get paid every week or bi-weekly, right before that next paycheck, their balance is teetering right on the edge of going into the negative. And so they get paid again, it goes back up, and that cycle kind of continues on and on. So that's the paycheck to paycheck. Again, a lot of people spend it on non-essential things, which is what we don't want to be doing. So we'll go more into that here in a little bit. To start out, step number 1 is to figure out where you're at right now. And if you look here on the right side, you see kind of a basic breakdown of what that budgeting is going to look like. So the first thing you're going to start off with is your income, and that's whether you have a primary job and a secondary job. Any money that's coming in is where you're going to put here. And I just put the example here of $4,000 a month. Everything here is going to be on a monthly overview. So $4,000 a month, if you had extra side jobs, you would add that to that and put your total here. Now, the next step is to figure out your expenses. And all your expenses is anything that you're spending money on. Again, income is coming in, expenses are going out. So with this, and this is where you really want to pay attention, because it's easy to kind of forget about those small little things, whether it's buying something at the gas station or filling up your car. It's easy for those to slip through and provide an inaccurate representation of what your actual spending pattern looks like. So again, you want to list all expenses. The big ones are going to be things like your mortgage or rent, your food, your car payments, and so on. Again, include everything that comes out of your bank account, anything that you're spending money on. From there, you're going to add all those up. So for this one, we just have the example that my end of month expenses are $4,100. Now, the final thing on this is to figure out your balance. So my balance is simply taking my income and subtracting my expenses from that. And what I want to see here in the balance is a positive number. That means I have more money in my account at the end of the month than when I started. Opposite of that, if I have a negative number, then I've spent more, of course, than I've had at the beginning of the month. So in this case, it is a negative number, negative 100. So I'm further in the hole than I was at the beginning of the month, which is exactly where you don't want to be on this. So make that. Again, you can use, there's different softwares out there for it. The easiest one for me is probably working with Microsoft Excel. So they already have a few pre-populated programs or documents on there within Microsoft Excel, where it's just kind of plug and fill in all of your expenses on it, and it'll help you figure out that end of month balance. Now, as you're doing this, make sure that you're doing 60 to 90 days or 2 to 3 months, because there's going to be one-time expenses that pop up every now and then. And again, that can give you a kind of skewed view of what your spending actually looks like. So with that 2 to 3 months, it's going to give you a better trend and overview of what everything looks like and whether you got money coming in or going out. So once you have that all filled out, step number 2 is going to be find the leaks. And for that, what we're going to be looking at is our expenses item, particularly things that we don't need that we're spending money on. So whether that's you going out to the bar, you buying an excessive number of shoes, clothing that you don't need, eating out, etc., etc. All those things are non-necessary items, and what they are is these small little leaks coming out of that bank account, which don't seem like a whole lot, but when you start adding them up month over month and year after year, it can come out to a pretty big number. And again, you don't realize it because it's so small each time that transaction's taken out. So find those leaks. Once you have those leaks, the next thing you need to do is either stop or divert them. So stopping them would simply be not going to the bar anymore, not buying shoes more than you would need to, and so on. Now, another option for that is to divert. And so what I mean by that is diverting that money. So instead of accumulating that in your bank account, it goes somewhere else where it can help make you more money. So whether that's spending it on a savings account, stocks, bonds, and so on, there's a ton of different ways that you can divert that money. But what I want you to do before that is, if you don't have a savings built up, and by savings I mean 3 to 6 months that you can use as an emergency fund. So if there is no money coming in, I could use that extra 3 to 6 months of that I have in the savings as kind of a cushion to help pay those necessary expenses I have. So again, you want that in place. That should be your first step once you find those leaks and refunnel that money somewhere else. So once you have that in place, you can again start working on adding that to other areas that are going to help make you money. Or the last step we have is to work down your debt. So what I see a lot of times is people have credit cards and they have this balance that they carry month to month. And so balance keeps getting higher and higher until they hit that ceiling, whatever their credit limit is, and that's in a bad position. Because once they do that, once that balance keeps going up month to month, it transfers over and over. What happens is that interest on that credit card also goes up. So the more money I have on that balance, the more interest I'm going to be paying on that. And that interest is doing you no good, because you're basically taking a $100 bill, $200 bill, however much money you're spending on those interest rates, and throwing it out the window, because it's going in someone else's bank account, making them rich and making you not as rich. So the last step you need to do is, once you have that savings and you know where that savings account, that 3 to 6 months is, if you have any of that debt, start working it down. And that's pretty much it. Again, 4 steps. Work with Microsoft Excel if you don't have any other programs for it. Income minus expenses gives you that overall balance. Make sure you're doing that for at least 60 to 90 days to get that good overview. Find the non-essential expenses you're spending money on. Stop or divert them. Make sure you have that savings of 3 to 6 months. And then finally work down that interest rate. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday.